the terminology just came on the platform of negotiation.
Professor Emmanuel Oladapo was a member of the team that developed Nigeria's INDC, one of the very few Nigerians who knew what went into developing the document.
The process for developing the INDC was made to be thorough, number one, because it has to be transparently done. And it took some time to get an external support for it. And I think because of that, we couldn't get anything till around June. So government realized that it was going to take a lot of time if we tried to use local capacity. But in the process, also got a lot of quotations from everywhere. So a company was selected. That company called Ricardo had done it in about 10 other countries. They were actually the first that wrote the guideline for the development of INDCs. So the government went through a process, and because the target was to make sure Nigeria submitted something to the UNFCCC by October 1, this international consultant was recruited, and I and one other guy were asked to support them in order to put the local content there properly. And we worked assiduously, and by September 14, a draft was submitted to the ministry. But because it is a national document, not Minister of Environment document, the ministry could not just take it to the president and say, here's our INDC, sign and go. Two, the government must understand exactly what if we commit Nigeria to something that is beyond what its capability is. And because you already determined it yourself, you have already pledged it, you cannot come back and say you couldn't do it again. So government decided to set up a technical committee to look deeply into it and make recommendations. I believe that is the process that is holding it, and because our government is still trying to settle down and do a lot of things at a time. But I'm very optimistic that that INDC, in its final form, approved by the government of Nigeria, including legislative and the executive arms, should be ready for submission before COP21 in Paris.
Nigeria is one of the countries still subsidizing carbon. It is one of the many nations whose emission is increasing because of its population and inefficiency in its energy sector. To experts, it is one of the countries that would benefit the most if its resources are adequately utilized.
Let's look at the opportunities that trying to reduce the greenhouse gas. What are the technologies in even the gas emission? Do you want to store it, or do you want to limit the things? So this, to me, I believe that Nigeria should constitute. I think this is the problem. We don't do research. We don't do analysis. We just find solutions, even at the political level. We just, this is what we are going to do. Let's do research. Let's do analysis. And find a group of people to do analysis for Nigeria, what we can benefit from addressing the challenge of climate change.
But do you think we can get it right?
We can. I don't believe there's anything Nigeria cannot get right if we are committed to it. 2 years ago, if anybody ever told that Buhari will win election, we say no. I'm sure majority will say no. But a year ago, people started thinking, what is the problem with this country? Maybe the leadership needs to change. Not because we don't like who's there, but maybe we need somebody to do something different.
One actual thing that can be done is to reduce fossil fuel subsidies. I have to admit that I'm not too much aware of the Nigerian situation, but I understand that there are subsidies in place for petrol and kerosene and maybe also some more. So subsidies are often a very difficult topic because there are many people who are interested in that, very powerful groups of the society, and often fossil fuel subsidies benefit largely the poor. But however, as I said, it is also a huge chunk of the government budget basically reserved for those fossil fuels. So slowly phasing out of those fossil fuels would give actually headroom to develop infrastructure that benefits everybody. So I've just been here in Lagos for a couple of days, but I have the impression there is still room for improvement to invest in the public infrastructure, be it roads, be it electricity grids, be it access to clean water, be it access to sanitation, etc. Of course, this cannot be done overnight, I see that, but at least that would be a discussion that could start now and something that could be done in the near future.
If all INDCs are fully implemented, the 2030 emissions gap will still be 12 gigatons of carbon dioxide equivalent per year, putting the world on track to a temperature rise of around 3 degrees Celsius by 2100 and bringing significant climate impacts. However, this scenario assumes that nations will not review and further accelerate efforts in subsequent years, that is in 2025 or 2030. That's our program for today. Thank you for being a part of it. God willing, we'll be back with you next week. But should you have any comment or question, our inbox @earthfile@channelstv.com is available any time of the day. And you can also view the program online by visiting our YouTube channel, youtube.com/channelsweb. Click playlist and then Earthfile from the options. From all of us here in Lagos, it's bye for now.